We just want to welcome everyone to the June webinar for eClaims. We ask folks just to keep your phone lines muted. We'll be using that chat feature. This month we did switch to WebEx events. So you'll see an option to send to all panelists. You want to make sure that you are using that option. That way it will go to Mary Beth Goodsell from the eClaims work group, Patty Gray from the eClaims work group, as well as myself, Mike Hunter, and I'm with the board's customer support unit. We will answer all those questions at the end of the webinar. Any that we don't get to, you are welcome to email us as well. Or if there's something you feel more comfortable just emailing us directly rather than asking through the chat, you are always welcome to email us as well, and we'll have that email throughout the webinar as well. So today we're going to start with eClaims Release 3.0 news. We'll go on to the 3.1 news since last month. And this month we're going to go over the 3.1 change log. We just posted that recently, and we'll go over some of the changes that we made there. And afterwards we will take questions and answers. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Patty Gray from the eClaims work group to go over the 3.0 news.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mike, can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay. Our first eClaims change log that we want to review today is regarding cause code 83 for pandemic and the nature of injury code for COVID-19. The eClaims change log lists these updates under items 398 through 400. The board expects trading partners to send a 402 on any cases that the incorrect cause code or incorrect nature of injury code was previously reported. When reporting a death claim, DN0057, employee date of death, and DN0146, death result of injury code, are required. So both of those codes are required. Our next slide is regarding a new population restriction that will be implemented October 1st of this year. Trading partners will receive an error or a rejection if the date of injury is not on or after 2019 for the date of injury with regards to cases with nature of injury listed as COVID-19 and cause of injury listed as pandemic. Type of loss population restriction that we previously announced will not be implemented. And the next slide shows that. So the edit matrix population restriction table. Oh, sorry, Mike, can you go back? The population restriction table, it's been updated, and you'll see it listed under 401, stating that this one will not be implemented. And we wanted to just give a reminder for the 4AQ and AU requirements when a new claim administrator takes over a claim. This should be filed on all active cases, including closed cases that medical is being paid. Failure to file the AQ could result in issues with the drug formulary dashboard assignments. The board could impose a penalty under Section 25(3)(e) for failure to file a required form. This penalty would be imposed outside of the monitoring unit process, but could be imposed at the case level based on a statute. A FROYO 2 transaction should be sent when the insurer fund changes. This could also affect the drug formulary dashboard. When the board receives a transaction and the insurer does not match our insurance company records based on proof of coverage reporting, a request for the FROYO 2 is sent at the case level. The FROYO 2 should be filed, or a response to the request should be sent indicating the policy information so a determination can be made to change the primary insurer on the file. The board could impose a Section 25(3) penalty for failure to file a required form. This penalty would be imposed outside of the monitoring unit process, but could also be imposed, again, at the case level based on statute. And I will turn it back over to Mike and Mary Beth now.
Thank you, Patty. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mary Beth. I'll be talking about our eClaims 3.1 news. We've announced that we will be implementing the IABC Release 3.1 effective March 15th, 2021. We published our first tables in March of this year, went over them at webinars in April and May. On May 21st, we did post our May 19th monthly trading partner webinar, a recording of it. It's out on our presentation page. We will be recording every month, including the one we're doing right now, and posting it out there on our page. We also posted an update to our Release 3.1 FAQs and added a direct link to them at the website you see on the screen. And then on June 12th, we published our first eClaims change log. All contacts that are listed in the trading partner profiles were notified of the table changes that will become effective March 15, 2021. And a notification was posted on the IABC jurisdictional news page. Mike and I will go through the eClaims change log during this webinar. And we're going to be using the eClaims change log just as it was done in Release 3.1 to notify of the table changes. We're taking this option instead of the IABC option of posting the table changes on each of the three standard tables, the event table, element requirement table, and edit matrix table, because we want to provide the trading partners with one document to see all of the changes for the tables and also the reference documents. So on June 12th, we posted items 1 through 24 on our eClaims change log that include changes to the event table, the element requirement table, the edit matrix, but also 3 of our reference documents, the DN reporting specifics document, the chart of the DN's O2 triggered document, and the summary of changes from 3.0 to 3.1. On June 10th, the board published subject number 0461305. It was posted on the board's website. If you've registered to receive the board notices, then you received a notification of this posting. And this is a proposed amendment to the eClaims Board Rules 300.22 and 300.23, which are updated regulations to incorporate the 3.1 changes. And they have been published in the state register. 300.22(2)F adds a statement regarding resuming payments with a credit, and this accommodates the reduced benefit amount code net to 0 to align with the new SHROI RB on our event table for credit on the schedule loss of use cases. 300.22(3)F modifies the SHROI subannual requirements to align with the event table for changes to the SHROI SA. And 300.23G is a new regulation to align with the new overpayment current DN 0433 that was requested to be added to the standard by claim administrators, a new data element, and we put an event trigger SHROI 02 on the event table, which allows claim administrators the right to file a notice to identify the amount of overpayment at least 10 days before the hearing. The board will be taking comments regarding the proposal for 60 days. You can submit your comments to regulations@wcb.ny.gov. Now we're going to go through the 24 items posted on the eClaims change log, and these slides are in order by the way they are listed on the change log. The first one goes with item number 1 on the change log, which is an addition to our DN reporting requirements specific to New York State reference document. So claims EDI 3.1 includes DN 36 part of body injury code on the FROI, which provides us with specific body codes with a left-right bilateral, finger-toe specifics, and multiple occurrences. So with this specific body part information, the board will be designating this as an acceptance, just as was done in the paper environment with the Form C669. So when accepting a case, the body parts listed on the FROI will be the accepted body parts of the claim. Please refer to section 300.371C regarding the process. And also please refer to the DN reporting specific to New York State document and the FAQs posted on the website regarding the concept of accepting a case. It's based on DN 74 claim type code for dates of accident prior to 1/1/19 and DN 75 agreement to compensate code for dates of accident on or after 1/1/19. And please note that the body parts that you are listing on the FROI are not considered accepted if the claim is being controverted with a pending FROI or SHROI 04. Change log number 2 was an update to our summary of changes document. This reference document is now 16 pages long, and the changes that were published on June 12th are highlighted in yellow on this reference document. The Change 02 handout was updated. The purpose of the Change 02 handout is to provide trading partners with a reference document indicating all DNs that are requiring an 02 to be triggered based on the element requirement table that we have listed with a reportable change code of K, Y, YG, or I. This handout that was published in March included 2 data elements that do not require triggers. One of them is DN 73, the claim status code, and that's listed as N for add, update, remove, so we took that off of the handout. That does not require an update. In fact, an N would mean if you send us an 02, we would reject it. And then also DN 58, employment status code, was removed from this handout because that's listed as an H on the element requirement table. It doesn't require an 02 to be triggered, but if you send it to us and you note it in the change variable segment, we will apply it and recognize it as a change. But we did notice that they were 2 data elements that do not require an 02 to be triggered, so we removed it from this reference document. We also identified that the columns on the handout published on March 27th for delete and remove, those columns were reversed, so that was corrected as a clerical error as well. Event table, this is ID number 5 on the change log. We did make a change to the FROI 04. We added a trigger value for FROI and SHROI 02s based on the IABC event table instructions. Jurisdictions are required to indicate an end date trigger value for the FROI or SHROI O2s. There are 4 options available in the standard. New York chose option D, duration from jurisdiction defined. And then the trigger value added to all Froy-Schroy O2 events are listed as they are due if a periodic is still due or a claim administrator is still paying medical on a claim. So as long as it still falls in that category, we do expect those Froy-Schroy O2s to be triggered based on the requirements listed on the element requirement table. We just want to point out that it is important that you continue to file the O2s while you're paying the claim. And one of the reasons for that is based on the drug formulary and the medical treatment guideline process. An example would be is if the claimant address changes, Froy O2 is required to update the DNs associated with an employee mailing address. We have them listed on our element requirement table as reportable change code Y, which means it's a required change for the Froy. So if you're paying medical, we want to make sure that the board is aware of the employee's current address because we are processing that if a drug formulary or an MTG request does come in. At this point, I am going to turn it over to Mike to cover the change logs number 6 through 24.
Thank you, Mary Beth. The Froy-Schroy event table were updated for O2 events, updated for the paper forms and receiver columns to NA for the O2 event, where the report criteria equals O2 change timeline of R. Quick note with that, O2s are still required to be mailed to parties on changes to DN 075 agreement to compensate code from without liability to with liability. Since these PDFs are not included in the zip file, they must be printed from eCase or eClaims inquiry for mailing to the claimant and claimant's attorney, if any. Please refer to the eClaims website for the actual paper mailing requirements to parties for more information. The next change is the element requirements, the Froy element requirements for DN 0154, employee ID assigned by jurisdiction. We just changed the capital MC to lowercase MC in the O2 requirement code column. That's per the instructions that are listed on the element requirements instruction tab from the IIBC. So we just changed it to little MC, which represents as mandatorily conditional match data for O2s. And again, that was per the standard. We wanted to align with that. On the Froy element requirements for DN 438, collective bargaining agreement code, we changed MC to NA in the O2 requirement code column for collective bargaining agreement code. We do not accept that code, so we just updated to NA to reflect an accurate measure for our requirements. On the Schroy element requirements, for DN 97, dependent payee relationship code, DN 425, dependent first name, 426, dependent last name, and 427, dependent date of birth. We replaced all instances of reference to 0082 with DN 0424. As those are familiar with 3.1 already, 0082, that data element was retired in 3.1 and replaced with DN 424. So we just updated that O2 requirement code column from MC 082 to MC 424 to accurately reflect the new data element number. On the Schroy element requirements, as well as the Schroy conditional requirements, suspension narrative, we increased the severity. For DN 233, it was changed to MC to M For the SX MTC column on the Schroy element requirements, we removed all conditional requirements for the Schroy SX MTC. On the conditional requirements, it was decided that that field, the suspension narrative, is important and should be with every suspension. So we just wanted to accurately reflect that on our table. On the Schroy conditional requirements, for DN68, initial return to work date, DN72, latest return to work status date, DN403, initial return to work type code, DN405, initial return to work with same employer indicator, and DN406, latest return to work code, and lastly, DN408, latest return to work with same employer indicator. We removed DN418, full suspension reason code of S5 as a condition. Once we examined that, we realized that you will not have a return to work if the claimant is incarcerated, which is what the S5 corresponds to. So we did remove that condition so you will not have to submit return to work information if you're suspending due to incarceration. On the Schroy conditional requirements for DN124, actual reduced earnings, we removed the Schroy AC from the MTC column. The severity ranking is NA on the AC MTC. And again, that's something that was pointed out to us, and we just wanted to accurately reflect per the standard. So it was updated to NA. On the Schroy conditional requirements for DN144, current date disability began. After some feedback, we relaxed this edit a little bit. What we did was we added a restriction to DN144 that makes it conditionally required only when the benefit type code is either 070 temporary partial or 270 employer paid temporary partial, and either initial return to work code, type code, initial return to work physical restrictions indicator, initial return to work with same employer, latest return to work type code, latest return to work physical restrictions indicator, or latest return to work with same employer indicator are present, in addition to reduced benefit amount code of Z net to 0. So if any of those codes are present, as well as that benefit type code, it would be a required field. Otherwise, it would be conditional, and you can provide it if you have it. Also on the Schroy conditional requirements for DN424, number of dependent payee relationships, we replaced instances again of 0082 with 0424, similar to the other slide because DN82 was retired in 3.1. So the requirement code column changes as well as the business condition column changes were changed on the Schroy conditional requirements. For the edit matrix DN error message or DN0277, number of full denial reason codes, the red L will be grayed out for 0277-125. The must be greater than 00 for delete. And 277 with the 126 error, number of occurrences less or greater than previously reported. We are not allowing the 02 to delete or update either DN277 number of full denial reason codes in 3.1. You may remember from previous months on those, we would require the 04 to be reported to update the denial reasons. For the edit matrix, the DN error message table, for DN421, part of body injured code, as well as DN422, part of body injured fingers, toes, location code, we added an L in 0421 with error 064, and under DN422, error R3.064 due to a new population restriction that was posted with our table changes last week. On the edit matrix valid value table, as well as the valid value detail, page 1, we updated cancel reason code, and we grayed out the N value for DN 400, cancel reason code of not required by jurisdiction. We grayed that out on both of those tables. And again, this was after review. We realized that it's not applicable to New York State business rules, and that's why it was grayed out. On the population restrictions, we also added some population restrictions for the O2s. And for all the DNs you see under the item list, all had these population restrictions added, including a population restriction for every match data element with an error 117 stating it must be present in the change variable segment by having the DN number for that match data element in DN 412, which is the DN you'll use that's called the change data element segment number, and that's where you're telling us which data element is changing on that transaction. We also added a population restriction for error 065 stating if DN 288 is present in the change segment with change reason code of A or U, add or update, then there must be at least one benefit segment with an MTC code of 02 in DN 0002. We also added a population restriction for both DN 92, which is benefit adjustment code, and DN 126, benefit credit code, with an error of 064, stating if DN 202 is not a reclassification, then benefit type code portion of DN 92 must exist on the previously reported TROI with the benefit ACRs. We also updated population restrictions related to part of body. The first population restriction we added was the multiple codes can only be used if number of body parts is 10. We will be updating the change log to include the language from the technical condition, just so this here spells out what those codes are. What they are is any of the multiple codes could only be used if you have 10 body parts reported total. Those codes include code 10, multiple head injury, code 20, multiple neck injury, 30, multiple upper extremities, 40, multiple trunk, 50, multiple lower extremities, 90, multiple body parts, and 91, body systems and multiple body systems. And again, they can be found today under the technical condition. We're also going to move it over into the business condition, the change log, so it's a little easier for folks to find. And the other population restriction we added for part of body is if it's the same part of body, you must report bilateral and cannot use left or right individually. So if you're reporting a right leg and a left leg injury, we would expect bilateral leg. We also added a population restriction for initial date disability began. There was a typo on the change log that was released last week, so that will be updated very shortly. What you'll see is on the change log, it had greater than or equal to. You'll notice that both symbols here are less than or equal to. So those new population restrictions for DN 56, there's a 064 error for initial date disability began. That must be less than or equal to the initial return to work date. Very simply stating that if they're initially disabled, it needs to be before when they initially return to work. This will be effective on March 15th with the launch of 3.1. Any element error text will just state must be less than or equal to initial return to work date. For population restrictions for both DN 276, number of denial reason narratives, and DN 277, number of full denial reason codes, we removed the reference to O2 from the population restriction in the element error text. As I had mentioned earlier, those can only be changed by submitting another FROI or TROI-04. Another new population restriction for DN 421, part of body injured location code, or DN 422, part of body injured fingers and toes location code. There's two new population restrictions, again with that error code of 064, invalid data relationship. For part of body injured location code, it must be null unless DN 36, part of body injured code, equals either any of those codes listed, which are codes that include left or right body parts. And DN 422, part of body injured fingers, toes location code, must be null unless the part of body injured equals 36 fingers other than thumb and or toes. And on the TROI sequencing for the TROI-04, we relaxed the edit. The TROI-04 can now follow a FROI-04 or another TROI-04, and that is in line with the requirement that for 3.1, you cannot update denial reasons or the denial narrative on the O2. Again, we want to thank everyone for attending today. Encourage you to visit the website, stay on top of the eClaims news. If you have any questions at all, from testing to edits, any feedback on our tables that we've recently posted, we highly encourage you to write us at the eClaims31@wcb.ny.gov. And with that, thank you for attending and have a great afternoon.